Can we talk about a job interview gone wrong? Of course we can. American Horror Stories is back. Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. This is my review for American Horror Stories. This is season 2, episode 1. You see, I said American Horror Stories, not Horror Story. This is our sad show, which comes on Hulu originally, which is the individual shows, and they're all different, and they, you all know what it is. This is our second season. I really did enjoy it last year when they actually did this, right before we got the actual American Horror Story season in. So I'm here for it. Like I said, this first episode was called Dollhouse. Baby, talking about a job interview gone completely wrong. For the most part. But it was something that had to happen. So let's get into this. Let's get into this. This is in Natchez, Mississippi, and we go back. You know how we do. We go back to 1961. 1961, we see a young lady, pretty blonde girl. She's going for this job interview. She's young. She's beautiful. She's like basically ready to take on the world. She goes to this doll factory. That's what it was. It was a doll factory. And she went for a secretary job. She gets in there and she's talks to him. I thought the man was a little, he was a little uptight, but there was a little strangeness about him. So whatever. He had that personality of like puppet man. You know, puppet makers are, they have a different type of, like people who make ventriloquist dolls and stuff like that, they're really, really into their work. Like it's really deeper for them than just making toys. It's like these toys breathe life into them and they breathe life into the toys, and it kind of sends them into a, it's that overly artistic thing where it's like, are you feeling okay? You all right? You sure you okay? You all right? He gave that vibe. So perfect. I was like, all right. So she goes and gives all her qualifications, everything like that. And then he basically gets what he says, she tells him, I'm perfect for the job. I'm perfect to be a secretary. He tells her, unfortunately, I don't think that you are. And he says, my assistant will see you out. And he basically turns his back to her. And you see people working on the other side of the glass. And I don't know if this glass was a double-sided glass or not, but this is like 1961. I don't know. But he says that, and then you hear her like struggling. She's like, oh, and here the assistant done grabbed her up. Baby, they done kidnapped her. Kidnapped her, took her. She ends up waking up. She's basically in this dollhouse. It's like this house, and it literally it's made after, it's modeled after a dollhouse. And she's in there, and there's all these dolls, like life-size dolls, and he's explaining to her about how she's going to be in this here pageant, and she's like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? Then he has this henchman, and the henchman, I mean, because we got started right off. It's fast. This is fast, baby, because we ain't got but 44 minutes to tell the story, so it's fast. The henchman, he's giving you Captain Hook tease, and he just looked dangerous, and she's like, can he talk? And he's like, no, because most of his stuff is kind of, what the hell you mean, So he don't talk. But he's a henchman, and he just looked dangerous. He just looked like if you don't do what he say to do, he gonna give you that work. So she's like, I'm getting out of here. This is crazy. So he's talking. He's like, look, get some rest. You'll be fine here. You're gonna be fine here, and you'll fit right in the pageant. Well, you're gonna do fine. This, that, thing, and the other. Weird. He goes on out and he leaves, and then he's like, and trust me, there's no way to get out of here or anything like that. You're gonna be here. That's just the way it is. Gets over there, leaves her there. Those dolls are still standing there. These dolls, they haven't naturally ever moved. They're like life-size dolls, look like mannequins. And she goes to the window, and she's looking at the window, and when she looks out of the window, she sees there's another house across the field. It's not that far across, it's walking distance, and sees this little boy standing up in the window over there. Just lone little boy standing there. That was kind of strange too. Anyway, when she is standing there, she senses like some movement and turn around. The dolls are moving. Here they're pulling down their little masks. They're people. They're actual people. They're people who have all been accosted. They've all been put into this position where they're all held up. They're running for this pageant. And it's like, what is the pageant for? They're not giving her all the answers. And they're just saying, you know, it just is what it is. Just participate. If you don't participate in what's going on, it's going to end badly for you. And again, everything's moving very, very fast. So then the next thing you know, they end up telling her about the little boy, telling her, you know, the story of the little boy. The little boy is the doll maker's son, and said, well, where's his mom? He ain't got no mom. They said the story was that the mom had actually went out on the lake. There's a lake or something there, and she went out on the lake and she drowned, and that's it. But that's not what really happened. They told her the story is that the mom had taken herself on a younger lover, got caught by the doll maker baby, and he did them both and threw them in this well back in the back, which we found out later that well is each person in the pageant that comes up with the lowest score in the competitions ends up in the well. Eventually, they end up in the well. You don't want to go to the well. And it's a long drop. And at the bottom, there's just a little water. But we know there's two people down there. I don't know how many dolls there were to start with, but we know that there's definitely two people. The lover and the mother of Otis is in the bottom of the well. Okay? And they have this they had like a taser. It's like a stick with a taser on the end that he stuck them with it and he threw them down there in the well. Anyway, so then they hear this ding, 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 this bell. And that bell, this is basically the next day. She done got her some rest. And we see a couple of the different characters. More so, we see there's a maid. She's a girl dressed in a maid's outfit. She's real abrasive. Her name is Aurelia is her actual real name. And she's real abrasive, not very pretty. She's just real gruff, and she just kind of like, look, I'm trying to get to the end of this. I'm trying to get up out of here. You know, it is what it is. She don't trust nobody, you know, and all of that. And then we have this nanny. She's a heavier woman, and she's a nanny, basically. And she's kind of not the best at everything, but she's about the calmest, and she's given the most information. We got one girl, it's the black girl. She's like a fairy tale. She's dressed like a fairy tale character, and she's like, I literally got taken from my house, from out of my bed. I don't know why I'm here or how I got here. I don't know. So she's just very scared. And again, we've seen all these women have actually seen what happened to the other contestants. Again, I don't know exactly how many there were, but they've seen what happens. And it's like a process of elimination, and somebody goes home every week, honey. So they basically on RuPaul's Drag Race, but seems as though when they send you home, they don't send you home, they send you to the well, honey. I said, ooh. So that's not really RuPaul's Drag Race. It's really, what's the movie? Oh, what is the movie? The Ring, honey. That's what it's The Ring, honey. If you get the lowest score in the competition, your ass goes to the well, honey. Down there with the girl with the dirty hair and the dirty dress, honey. Anyway, which is Otis's mama, honey. Anyhow, listen. So they hear this ding, ding, ding. They're like, oh, we gotta go, we gotta go. You only got a few minutes. You gotta pick a costume and don't speak unless spoken to. You know, basically do what we do, just stand there. Child, so she looks, and she's looking at all the costumes. She picks this clown costume. So she puts the costume on. They go downstairs, and in comes the doll maker, and he actually has his henchman, and he also brings in a little boy, little Otis. Now, Otis, to me, he gives you little Lord Fauntleroy tease. Otis is a little mean boy. Okay, he's a little mean, and he's a little rich kid, and he's like very that. Okay, not a nice little kid, but he takes right to her, and he's looking at her and everything, and he says, you know, I thought you said we weren't getting any new dolls, and he's like, oh well, you know, we don't know, trying to find the perfect person for the pageant, this, that, and the other. And he says, get acquainted with your new toys. And he goes on and he leaves. He leaves them there with them. And he's asking her, what's your name? You know, she said Kobe. Kobe the clown. And he ended up telling her, he says, isn't it something how people think that all kids and all people like clowns, but they really don't? So I'm sorry, but you're probably not going to do very well here, because I hate clowns. I said, oh. So she said, but I'm not just a clown. I know how to do magic. He said, I hate magic tricks too. People don't like magic tricks. She's like, you sure? And then there's this little fire engine, a toy fire engine, and it just starts moving across the floor. And he's like, how did you do that? She said, I told you I know how to do magic. I said, oh, baby, look like you didn't see when you going out here with this foolishness and you snatching people and shit, you don't know who you snatching. See, I said, uh-oh. See, this, and I said, come on. Now, I was really here for the story. I loved what we were building. It was giving me very Twilight Zone, which most of this stuff does. It's like a twist between Twilight Zone and American Horror Story. But as soon as I said, oh, she's telekinetic, I said, baby, this is getting ready to get good, because you done pulled some bull crap and you don't know who you done snatched up, and she might give you a bit of a problem. So I was like, oh, come on with it. Come on with it. So I'm all geeked up. You know, this is my kind of stuff right here. I love this kind of stuff. I said, oh. And it was also giving me a little bit of, I'm going to tell you, it made me think of the movie, what is that movie called with the Brad? Hide and Seek. Is it Hide and Seek? I don't think Hide and Seek is the name of the movie. Hide and Seek is the song that they were playing. They played the song because they played the game of Hide and Seek. Is it Hide and Seek? I can't think of it right now. Listen, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to flash the name up. When I go to do my edit on this video, I'll have put it there. This is the name. How's that? How's that? How's that for production? This is the name of the movie. But I love the movie, and it kind of made me think of that. But I know they played a song, Hide and Seek, of the old song, Hide and Seek, in the movie, which I absolutely love. And it was, again, you accosting people, and you don't really know who you got, and they just might turn your ass out while you're doing it. So I was like here for us. So, oh, I love this. So, okay, so let's move on. So that's that. And then basically that's it. Otis stays for a little bit. Then he ends up going, and, you know, because he told her do it again. She's like, okay, so she, you know, she made the thing move again. She goes on. Next thing you know, they end up, the dolls end up having a conversation. Baby, that Aurelia, she was mad, baby. She gonna say, oh no, they brought this bitch in here. You think you got something up your sleeve, but I got some things up my sleeve too. So she's really, listen, kill or be killed, die or die, you know, get out or die kind of thing. She ain't for the bull crap. And she like, you ain't gonna beat me. I don't care what you say. So that was that. Then the next thing you know, we go to another scene. We hear this ding, 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 ding. They all got to get together. They got to come down. Now they get ready to have this table setting challenge. And it's like he said, you're going to be here for a couple of weeks. So this is going on. This is like days are going by. So they're doing this table setting challenge, and they got to get it right. He going around the table, baby, and he is just, you know, everything has got to be this, everything's got to be that. He kept saying it's going to be perfect. They got to be perfect. And they were telling her, don't think that you're going to win that kid over. It's going to help you, this, that, thing, and the other, on and on and on. Like, girl, whatever. Anyway, so they do the table setting. She didn't do the best at the table setting, but she didn't do the worst. There was a doll dressed as a bride. She actually did the worst. Honey, she's like, oh, no. Child, they shocked her. And the henchman threw her over his shoulder, took her out there, baby, and threw her in her beautiful wedding dress and everything. Right, she was so pretty in her wedding dress. Threw her ass right on down in that well. I said, oh, and they all was like at the door looking, seen her go in the well. I said, oh Lord. So that was that. Next thing we see Kobe and Otis. He's over there playing one day, and they actually get to talk. And she's asking him about his mom and different things like that, and being different. And she said that she was different because he asked her about the little magic trick, and she's like, well, people don't really, you know, I don't know. I didn't used to do the tricks and stuff. My uncle taught me, but I didn't do the tricks and stuff because my other family members, they didn't care for it too much, and it's kind of dangerous to be doing it. So I'm actually thinking at the time, I'm like telekinesis, but not really thinking. Because if I was really thinking hard, I would have really clocked it in the beginning, but I didn't. And I'm still thinking telekinesis, which is fine. Even people who are telekinetic, they don't want to show other people because what ends up happening, they end up being chased down by the government. You know what I mean? So that's where I was with it. But I was so far off. I was so far off. I said, you in the wrong headspace, James, sitting here. But we'll just go with it. I'm just going to give you my experience as it went, because I should have been thinking, but I wasn't thinking hard enough. So we're going with the telekinetic thing, which she is. I just wasn't thinking hard enough. And I know y'all probably done picked up on it by now, but I didn't. I was just sitting there watching, open, like just being open. And so she said, why don't you go to school? He said, I did go to school, but then I got beat up by some kids and stuff because they said I was weird. She's like, well, yeah, I mean, you play with dolls. You're a little boy, you play with dolls, and people think that's strange. And he's like, that ain't strange to me. I was like, whatever. And he's like, so she's like, but you know how you throw dolls away. We got to get that together, that whole thing of like how your dad throws dolls away. And she's like, that's not good. He's like, but I throw dolls away all the time. She's like, yeah, but it's a little bit different when he throws us away. So she was like, okay, so she said, if you could tell your daddy to like stop doing that, like if you can get your dad to stop doing that. And he's like, okay. But you can see him like warming up to her. And yeah, he had told her basically, if I ever had a mommy, I would want her to be like you. Like I would want her to be like you. And she's like, I don't know if I would be a good mommy, especially with, kind of like the stuff with your dad and that. I don't know. I don't know, but, whatever. So they talked. He's sold on it. We see him actually go to talk to his dad. And when he goes to talk to his dad that night, he overhears the father having a conversation with like a toy company and found out like the business is kind of failing. And he's like, well, Daddy, like, is everything okay? And he's like, you know what? I'm a good Christian. I said, build the layers, honey. That's the thing. Everybody wants to be a Christian. Everybody wants to be a good Christian. Everybody wants to be God-fearing. But we know that when it goes too far, there are people who are like radical Christians and they go too far with it and they become dangerous. Like this man, he don't see any wrong in what he's doing because he's such a good Christian that nothing is wrong with what he's doing. And you breaking how many of the commandments? I mean, they say thou shalt not kill, honey, and you just killing up some folks just because. You're not judging, you're not supposed to be judging folks, but you judge them, they ain't what you want. There is no perfection. There's no perfect anything. Anyway, so it went really deep. When he said that, I'm a good Christian, I said, crazy, radical. Anyway, so he had told him, I'm going to find you a mommy. You trust me, don't you? He said, yeah, I do. And so he never actually said to his dad at that time what him and Kobe had spoken about. So then the next thing you know, we go to another scene. We hear, see, boop, boop, boop. Here we go. Here's another challenge. This is an iron solution challenge and shirt folding. So they had to create a solution that wasn't too starchy, had the right kind of aroma, trying to copy somebody who was completely famous for, they said the name and all that, who was completely famous for this solution and all this Taylor. Child, they did their little thing. Kobe scorched the shirt with the iron. She scorched her shirt with the iron, and she lost points. But what he did, he said, I'm really disappointed in you. He said, put your hand on the ironing board. He took the iron and burned her hand. Penny on Good Time style. She took it like a G. She's like, okay. You ain't gonna do all that falling out and carrying on because that'll end you. The henchman standing over there. Child, the black girl that's dressed up like the fairy tale, like a fairy tale princess, honey. She just did bad, honey. He picked it up. He was like, this thing got too much starch in it. Because there was Cavazier in it. But you're not supposed to smell it. It's just like a whiff of. He said, this smells like a whorehouse. I bust out laughing. Said, I'm going. Baby, when I tell you that, he was like, The henchman came and grabbed her by her neck and slammed her down and took that hook and gave her. I said, that was like the most, like, I mean, because he was just appalled with her, and he just gave it to her, baby. I said, no, he didn't do her like that. And they all was sitting there like, oh my God. Then he took her, and she didn't even get shocked. He just killed her right there on the spot. Then took her ass out there, threw her in that down. I was gonna say the bucket down in the well. I said, "Oh my gosh, that was a mess." He jacked her up. He slammed her so hard on that floor, bam. Then just I said, "Oh," gave her the rain killer. I said, "Damn." Anyway, so shortly after that, again, Aurelia, she's kind of getting this little thing. She's like, she feels as though the puppet, not puppet master, but the doll maker kind of likes Kobe, and you can see that Otis is liking Kobe. So here she is in her little maid outfit, and she ain't feeling it. So she goes, she's like, "Oh, okay, I got you, girl." And so they were talking about, they're like more talking, and it's getting down close. So they're like talking about like an escape plan and different things like that. But Aurelia had left the room, and they're like, well, by paying attention, she runs downstairs. She goes, she gets the knob off of a bed. It's like the bed post, and it has a long nail on the end. She unscrews it. She comes out. It's not a nail, it's a screw. She comes back up, and again, girlfriend got gifts. So she kind of was like, something ain't right. So she said, come with me, her and the nanny. Because that's all that's left, really. It's her, the nanny, and Aurelia. So they get out, they hiding, and they look over. And so they're standing there, she got her back to her. Aurelia busts in the room, honey, and run up right behind her. Get her back, honey. She gonna kill her. She's gonna kill her. And here it was, a mannequin. And they got back over there and looked at her and got the thing off of her, and she was like, what are you doing? She's like, listen, just knock it off with this. We're going to work together. We're all going to get out of here. I have a plan. She's like, we're going to get killed. This place, when you get out, it's 10 miles each way. You're not getting anywhere. She said, but we're going to give them, they want dolls, we'll give them dolls, and we'll give ourselves enough of a head start to get out of here. So she's like, okay, all right. So they come in here, we go for the challenge. It's just them three. This is like, I think it's supposed to be the final challenge anyway, getting there. So they're hiding in this closet, behind this curtain, and we see him talking, and he's going on, and he's getting real creepy about who the perfect one is, and blah 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 blah. And didn't I say to him in this radical Christian stuff? He gets up there and he gets right up to Kobe, and he says, now he's reading like all these things, and he says, what Bible verse is that from? Now he knows that she kind of knew the Bible as well, because when she was in her interview, she had quoted something from the Bible, and that was again something that really attracted them to her. And he's like not getting an answer, and he's looking. Here they done slid, and they done got out the door, and they done ran, okay? when he figured out that these dolls. So they're running. They get out there, and she says, "Listen, we got to go over and we got to get Kobe. We can't leave him here." And she's like, "No, no." They're like, no, 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 no." And the nanny, she's like, "I'm too scared. I'm too scared. We got to run. I'm too scared of rail." He's like, "I don't give a damn. I'm out of here. And y'all better come on, or it is what it is." Honey, so she said she's scared. So Kobe went by herself, and she ran on over there, went up into the other castle, the other house, to go get Kobe. The other two run on into the woods. Surely they're down there, they're up in the woods, and they're running, 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 running. Of course, the other girl, she's heavier. So she had tripped, and she kind of fell and hit her knee. And the other girl, she said, "Wait, wait, wait." She said, "You're going too fast." So she going to tell, she said, "Girl, listen." She had got this big rock, and she said, "You too slow, and you're too noisy." She was getting ready to do her. I said, "Girl, she is cold-blooded. She's ready to do her." But when she looked up, the henchman was standing there, honey, behind the heavier girl, baby, and gave her right between the eyes, honey. I said, "Oh, got you, bitch," honey. She fell on out, honey. And then other girl, she turned around and she looked, and I said, "Oh, damn, sorry, sis." But he gave her, and gave her a little taste, too. I said, "Oh, wow." Back inside the castle, she done got up to the room, and she's telling Kobe, she's like, "Listen, come on." She said, she said, "Come, we gotta go. We gotta go. This is not. We're getting out of here. I'm running. I'm leaving, but I'm not gonna leave you here. And I promise you, I'll be the best mommy. I'll be the best mommy ever." And he's like, "Okay, you know." And he's like, "But I'm sorry." And he took the thing and shocked her. I said, "Oh, damn." I said, "See, I told you. I knew I didn't like that little boy." Shocked her. Next thing you know, she wake up, honey. She's on some apparatus, honey. She's all stretched out. And then the father tells her about how one of Kobe's dolls actually had a mic in it. So he was hearing, he knew the whole plan all along, played right along, and just wanted to see exactly what they were doing. He said that was the final test. He said everybody else ran, and you thought about Kobe, which meant that you were the perfect one for the pageant. You're the perfect one to be a mom to him. You're the only one who actually thought about it, is why you survived, and you are the perfect one. And I'm going to finish by making you completely perfect. She's like, "What?" So this thing starts lowering down on her, and she's like, I'm like, "Girl, I mean, I didn't know how strong her telekinetic powers were. She was able to move the little truck, but again, she wasn't like a master at moving things, and so it was like a whole big apparatus. She couldn't do anything. Try to close down on her. The next thing you know, we see her here. She is literally alive, but encased in porcelain. So he literally is trying to create a perfect being. And as we say, only dolls are perfect. So she's like stuck like this. And she just looked like a baby doll. And it wasn't even a cute baby doll. That baby doll wasn't nowhere near as cute as what she was. It's an old, ugly, old, plasticky looking thing. But that's how he had her. It's like, "See, I knew it takes a little while for you to adjust, but everything will, you'll be fine. And look, see, you're a lot more comfortable, this, that, and the other." And she's serving them some tea or something, and little weirdo boy is sitting there, old Otis is sitting there like, you know. And then the next thing you know, honey, there's something goes on, and then we get an intrusion, and then boom, the father gets frozen. He gets frozen, and the henchman gets frozen, and they're looking over at her, and you look over, and there's two coven witches standing. They said, "We should have got here earlier, but your spells were weak, and they couldn't, your spells are weak, and they couldn't, we couldn't get you until now, honey." And they took and cast a spell and cracked all the porcelain off of her. And I was like, and they left them two frozen, cracked her out of the porcelain, And then Otis, they're like, come on. And Otis was like, please don't leave me. And she said, okay, come on. She said, but you can never, ever come back here. You can never, ever come back here, Otis. Just forget all about this. You can never come back here. Grabbed him, and that's what she told him. She said, you're one of us, you know. So that's it. She was a witch. And I don't know why I wasn't thinking to cover witches, because I always pulled this away from the actual American Horror Story, but they do kind of coincide sometimes. A lot of times, actually. But that was it. So, and then this is the part that really wore me out. So, once they did that, and they went to go ahead and escape, the one witch, she looked at them, and they were both still frozen, the henchman and the father, and she said, baby, and their asses went to burning, honey. Poof. I said, ooh, got you, honey. So, and that was symbolism, too. I said, oh, the burning of the witch. And then, in the next scene, honey, we see them. They get to a place, and she's like, listen, she says, okay, so you're going to go start some schooling now. And she says, we got to change your name. We have to change your name so, you know, we change your name. Can't call you Otis anymore. She said, so what are we going to call you? What name you want? He says, how about Spaulding? I said, and out the door comes this little girl with red hair parted down the middle. And all this, I said, the symbolism of the fire, honey. It was Myrtle Snow, honey, as a little kid. I said, oh my God, honey. So I was screaming. Screaming. And then the camera pans over, and guess where they were? Miss Robichaux's, honey. I said, that was so slick, honey, how they just rolled that in. They weren't just any witches. It took us back to the actual beginning of the coven. I said, I was so excited. I was so excited. It was a good episode. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I see I was kind of forgetting, because there's so much stuff that was going on in that little 44 minutes. It was so good. It was so good. But that's Spaulding. And there at Miss Robichaux's, I said, oh. But again, Good Samaritan, witches. Witches are always trying to help people. And sometimes the things that they do for good, you all know the story. Listen, can't wait for American Horror Story to come back. But this is it. We're off and running in our American Horror Stories. This has been episode 1 called The Dollhouse, and season 2. Listen, I'm here for this. I'll catch y'all next week. Love this. Anyway, later, guys.